Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Impact Wrestling audio review for my new blog that I have going. It's called The Slam Zone. You can check it out at theslamzone.blogspot.com. This is Chess Army. Some of you may know me from a podcast I used to do years ago called QCW Radio, but I am back on the internet. I hate using this term, but I guess the IWC or whatever it is you want to call it. And I'm here to do this audio review for Impact Wrestling. Basically, my blog is going to feature audio reviews for not just Impact Wrestling, but Monday Night Raw as well. I'm also going to give you guys a radio show, all types of interesting articles, and so much more content. So check out the blog, theslamzone.blogspot.com. That's the place to go for that. But got to get into this week's Impact. And I thought this was a decent show. You know what? I'd give it a good show. I'll go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It was really a mixed bag if you really think about it, however. The first hour I thought was not spectacular, and then in the second hour things really picked up with that three-way X Division championship match between Manic, Austin Aries, and Chris Sabin, which ended up turning into a singles match after Manic was powerbombed on the outside. And then boy did Chris Sabin and Austin Aries tear the house down. Fantastic main event, the best I think that TNA's put on television in a long time. And a great way to close the show. So we open things up here with the X Division champion Austin Aries coming out to the ring. He said he wanted Hogan to come out and make the World Heavyweight Championship match official between him and Bully Ray. Hogan came out and instead created an X Division Championship match because he felt that the way Austin Aries won the X title in the first place was unfair. Which I guess you can argue, considering he attacked the real Suicide backstage. Chris Sabin came out. He cut a promo. Sabin's mic work is not phenomenal. I think the guy was actually a lot better at promos when he was working with Alex Shelley in the Motor City Machine Guns. I don't know why. Maybe he's more comfortable working with Shelley, but that's just my opinion. AJ Styles, Kazarian was the first matchup. AJ defeated Kazarian by submission in 4 minutes to gain 10 points in the Bound for Glory series. This was okay. Nothing spectacular or anything. Styles continues to develop this new character. It's working out well for him. I think it's a good fit for somebody that was very stale as a babyface. Speaking of being stale as a babyface and having a new character, TNA Knockouts champion Mickie James was up next. She came out to the ring. There was a ladder set up. Mickie looked absolutely stunning on this show. Just damn, is she hot lately. Probably this is the best that she's ever looked. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that she has a music career now, and so she's really taking care of herself. But damn, did she look good tonight. So she climbs up to the top of the ladder, starts cutting a promo, basically says that she doesn't care who wins the number one contenders match next week between Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell because she's going to drag them off of the ladder rung by rung. This was awesome. This was a great promo. Mickie James is my favorite women's character in wrestling today, and she's the most interesting Knockouts champion I think TNA's had in a long time. Hernandez and Jay Bradley had a match. It was brief. Hernandez won after some help from Chavo Guerrero. Still don't see the appeal with Jay Bradley. I've heard some good things about him, but TNA has done a really terrible job of making me care about this guy. He has virtually no character development. As far as I'm concerned, he's just a dude that writes boomstick on his arm. Big deal. So Hernandez gets the win. I could see a Chavo Guerrero heel turn coming. I could also see about 0 people caring if they go down that route, but I guess we'll see what happens. TNA Tag Team Champions James Storm and Gunner defeated Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard, a.k.a. a couple of job guys, in about 2 minutes. So this was alright, I guess. It was basically a glorified squash. Nothing really to it. This is the match I expected to happen because, let's face it, Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard aren't exactly high on the TNA Tag Team rankings list or whatever. But there is still a problem that remains here. The tag team division is absolutely directionless right now due to the fact that most of the tag teams are involved in the Bound for Glory series. I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this division. Storm and Gunner, in my opinion, not the best champions. I know this is a different topic, but Storm and Gunner to me is the most random tag team they could come up with. It's James Storm, a cowboy who likes drinking beer and listening to country music, teaming up with a generic, muscular dude with a beard and a tattoo. It just doesn't make sense to me. I hope that they do a little bit more to, build these two up as an actual tag team. Show some vignettes of them backstage drinking beers, and for the love of Christ, give Gunner some type of character, please, because he's the most generic guy on this roster right now. And if there's one thing I miss, just one thing that I miss about the Vince Russo era, it's that at the very least he made sure each and every person on this roster had a distinct character. And I'm sad to say this, but in TNA today that is not the case. Sting and Kurt Angle came out to the ring. They were ready to unveil the newest member of the Main Event Mafia. Samoa Joe was introduced as well. Joe looks like a complete badass in a suit. I just wanted to say that. So Joe comes out, he cuts a promo, very nice promo. This Mafia angle so far is, other than the fact that it doesn't make too much sense because most of the guys that are being recruited were at Slammiversary and they too did not help Sting. But if you ignore that, it's a cool little angle, faction wars thing that they're setting up here. Magnus introduced as the newest member of the Main Event Mafia. Great choice. Magnus is a guy that I think could be the poster boy of this company someday. He's got the look, he can work, he can talk. The only problem I had with this promo tonight, or not tonight, this past Thursday, was that he said sports entertainment twice instead of using the word wrestling. And I know that's sort of a nitpick and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it was really weird. It's like, why are you using sports entertainment? That's a WWE term. I just didn't get that. Regardless of that, though, still a good promo, and Magnus, I think, is going to fit right into this Main Event Mafia as they look to battle aces and eights and take them out. Jeff Hardy and Joseph Park had a match. I am still adamant that Abyss should be in this Bound for Glory series as opposed to Joseph Park. Match lasted about 6 minutes, and it had honestly a stupid finish. Joseph Park saw his own blood, went crazy, and attacked the referee, which resulted in a disqualification. And, of course, some points are going to be taken off of Joseph Park's total in the Bound for Glory series. Jeff Hardy, however, gets a victory. Unsure of where they're going with the Joseph Park angle. Is he or is he not Abyss? Are they doing a split personality angle? I don't know. They've been doing this for a while now with this character. I guess we'll find out. But in the grand scheme of things, at this point in time, there's really no telling where they're going to go with it. TNA Gut Check segment was up next. Ryan Howe, a.k.a. Geek with the Guitar, made it to the finals somehow, even though the other guy was better, in my opinion. Comes out, judges say you're not good enough to be on TNA, and that was the end of the segment. Felt like a giant waste of time. I understand that you can't say yes to every single wrestler that tries to make it onto the roster via Gut Check. I get it, but at the same time, this really did just feel like a giant waste. And to be honest with you, this entire Gut Check challenge, or whatever you want to call it, feels like a giant waste. Because, first of all, nobody that's gone in my opinion, is actually any good. Other than Taylor Hendricks, but she's gone. And speaking of that, in relation to that, a lot of the guys that end up winning either are never seen of or heard of again, they get sent to OVW forever, or they get fired. So what's the point? There is none. Stop it. Plug next week's Impact. Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell are going to have a number one contenders match for the Knockouts title, and apparently there's going to be a Joker's Wild tournament. I guess they had to do this because they're in Las Vegas. I never liked this Joker's Wild gimmick, but maybe they will, actually have a good one next week. I don't know. Main event time for the X Division Championship. Technically a three-way between Chris Sabin, Manic, and Austin Aries. Of course, Manic is Suicide. They changed his name for whatever reason. I never got that. Okay, Suicide was a fine name, I guess. Maybe they didn't want a kid's character to be associated with suicide, the word suicide, but they went with Manic. What are they going with next? What's next here? Is it going to be, I don't know, depressed? Bipolar? Jeez. These names, they're rattling off here. They're all terrible, to be honest. I think Manic sounds just god-awful, but I guess we'll get used to it. Sabin wins in this matchup here against Austin Aries. As I said at the top, fantastic match between these two guys. A little bit of a gripe. They did have the Aces and Eights come out to try to stop the match, and of course, Main Event Mafia were there to try to shield them from entering. While this, I guess, makes sense storyline-wise, I felt like it took away from the match just a little bit because it was a bit of a distraction. You know, it wasn't just two guys battling it out and all the attention was on them. There was a little bit of attention, at least from the announcer's point of view, on the guys on the outside that, you know, you were sort of waiting. I mean, I know personally, I was just sort of waiting for this giant brawl to commence, and it never happened. So it was a little bit of a distraction, in my opinion. I would have liked it better if nobody came out. Maybe Hogan could have said, Aces and Eights, you're banned from ringside. If you guys come in, I'm going to fire all of you. I mean, they could have done something to keep them from interfering. But instead, they go this route. They have the Aces and Eights come out. Main Event Mafia, you know, comes out and blocks them. At least there was no official interference, but it was a little bit distracting. Needless to say, Sabin, Aries, they left it all on the line in this match. They left it all in the ring, I should say. Great stuff. Back and forth, fast pace. They kicked out of everything. Finally, Chris Sabin hits his finisher off the top rope. Hail Sabin off the top. 1, 2, 3. Sabin regains the X Division Championship. A little bit of a confusing finish. Again, I don't read spoilers, so I fully expected Austin Aries to come out of this the winner because they put Aries over huge last week when he revealed himself as Suicide, and he did get a babyface pop when he challenged Bully Ray. All of a sudden this week he's back to being a heel. Sabin wins the title back. It makes me wonder what was the point of what they did last week. I don't know. I guess they really wanted to put Sabin over again and have him regain that title. It's tough to explain. Regardless, I'm not exactly angry or mad about Sabin winning. I think he's a good choice. He's a good talent. You know, not the best on the mic. I think his promo skills, like I said earlier, have gone down just a little bit since his days in the Motor City Machine Guns, for whatever reason. Still should be a good match against Bully Ray for the world title at Destination X. But you have to wonder, would Austin Aries as a babyface facing Bully Ray have been more intriguing? That's an argument that I think you can make. Anyway, Sabin is still a fine challenger for the title. If not, maybe a little bit less of a credible one. That's the only problem. Regardless, though, I think it'll still be a good match. And overall, I'll give this a thumbs up. Impact, good show. Could have been better. I think that the first hour dragged. There was a lot of, there were a couple of boring matches. Hernandez and Jay Bradley. The Jeff Hardy match I didn't care for. But there were a lot of good stuff as well. I did enjoy the Main Event Mafia angle. The main event was a kick-ass match. And I do like the general direction of the show. And next week should be interesting with that Knockouts title ladder match. Knockouts division, I think, is starting to regain some momentum. And sort of, actually, it almost feels like it's revamped. So I'm happy about that. So thanks, everybody, for listening to this Impact Wrestling review. And make sure to check out the blog. It's theslamzone.blogspot.com. Once again, that's theslamzone.blogspot.com. You can get all types of interesting and informative professional wrestling commentary from yours truly. So check that out. Until next time, I'll see you guys again on Tuesday. Have a good one.